The Lossy. Whoa, guys, this is awesome. Okay, I never seen a. Alright, guys. I'll also show you the entrance. Lossy. You can take them a second. And Lossy Adventure, whatever. Oh, there we go. Go, 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 go. Oh, I wanted to show you.
Ashu, you just keep filming it, okay?
Yeah, I'll keep filming. I'll keep filming.
Did you give your introduction? Oh, this is nice and cold. It's echo. Oh, this feels much better than the outside. What people make of This is pretty long, right?
Guys, we're getting into the abyss.
Wait, are we outside or
Hold my camera. Carefully.
Now, the only thing that y'all missed is that they went over a few rules real quick and I'll catch y'all up. Just make sure you follow your tour guide. His name is Zeke at all times. And stay on the pathways. Just keep up with the group. No smoking in the cave. There are trash cans along the trail, so please do not litter. And finally, please do not touch or break anything while you're down here, because if you do, it'll be a $50 to $500 Tennessee state fine. They've also went down this bridge here to C1 formation. But at the end of the tour, y'all will come out the same way. Just remind Zeke, and he'll take y'all down there so y'all don't miss the thing. And yep, y'all can join the rest of the group.
Alrighty, we are good to keep going, but there is a down rail on your right. Of course, just watch out for that. It's 98% humidity. Make sure you don't lean, sit, stand on any of these as we continue. If you do, they're likely going to break. Now, next to that down rail, there is a couple of slick spots. Watch your step through here as well.
Oh. Here, watch. Just need to keep the camera straight. God.
very bumpy? The ground is
Tell me, Surrender, Uncle. I'm literally taking a video.
Alright, up here behind us is the Vale of Tears. It's one of the more active formations we'll see today. You can see it's made of stalactites, stalagmites, and these very large stalactite. That is a complicated name, so I just call these pillars, but you can also call these columns if you want to. For the other two names, just think that stalactites hang tightly to the ceiling. These stalagmites might one day reach the ceiling. When they do, they form together with stalactite counterpart and end up making those big pillars. Now, we're going to go through the main part of the cave, so it is very important you follow my voice. Don't go with another group. You're going to miss things or do something twice. And it's also going to go from concrete to gravel to clay down this way. Watch your steps.
I miss you.
Gravel.
gravel.
Oh, this is gonna be hard.
Careful, it's a slide.
Oh my god, how was the guide? How was the guides been going that far? Alright, he's already been here like a million times.
You, that is awesome, guys.
Yo, look, those things that poke out of the roof, they kind of look like icicles.
I know, they're like ice. Yo, look at that, guys.
We're probably gonna see some crystals.
Stalactites.
Yo, what's that red?
Yeah, that's lights.
Now, as you guys come down, look over to your right. The room where you're walking around here is called the Council Chambers. It was around the 1820s when the Cherokee Chief Craighead came down here after quite near to the Ocoee or Hiawassee land grants. Come down here and hold meetings as it is a nice 58-degree temperature year-round. That means no matter if it's hot or cold on the surface, you can always come down here and have those meetings. We do have a couple remnants from that time. One of those right up here in the center of my light, you'll see that darker patch. That is from their campfires. The smoke from those would rise up, seep into the rock, staining it permanently. Well, about 100 years later, in the 1920s, a group of teenagers were down here, and they found a couple pieces of arrowheads, pottery, and broken pieces of jewelry as well. We still have those, and they're up in the glass showcase. Of course, after the door, you guys feel free to check those out. But right up here above me are what we call anthodites. Anthodites get their name from the Greek word anthoda, which means flowers. Of course, we call these our cave flowers. But just like most other formations, they're extremely rare. But to an extreme, as they only call about 8 caves in the entire world their own. Most of which are right here at the Lost Sea, which makes it one of the 2 reasons we're U.S. registered natural landmark. Now, anthodites are so rare because they are a very, very slow-growing stalactite. Only end up growing about a centimeter every 1,000 or so years. Not these, though. These are inactive. We know that these are inactive because of their rusted brown color. I'll show you guys some active anthodites in a second. They're going to be orange and white, but we're going to have to go under this low-hanging rock to see those. It's not that low. Still watch your head and make sure you don't touch any of this. It is covered in more formations. Some of those formations might happen to be anthodites, and anthodites are very special in that the fine for them is about $5,500 per square cubic centimeter. And it will only be able to see those if you're on the right-hand side down here.
Don't do that. Guys, be prepared. You don't want to break anything. As well as the phone. Oh, it's not that low. What's low?
A-N-T-H-O-D-I-T-E-S. Thank you. Now you guys are only going to be able to see those anthodites to your right-hand side. You guys in the back obviously can't see them. So once the people in the front have had their look, we'll move forward.
Oh yeah, I see them. Look at that. Look at that.
Inside it is very, very uneven, and that trend will continue along the back.
Yo, look at those.
About 62 million years ago, at the end of the second ice age, glacial water melting came down in a lot of places, which is why we have big rooms like this. In contrast, most caves are provided a single source of water.
Was just taking a video?
No, it would have been after the dinosaurs. Yeah, because the ice age would have. We're good.
More. Up there.
Yeah.
Come on.
Look at that. Oh. Yeah, this is gonna be awesome.
At the beginning, you know that was really cool. And it was refreshing. But now it's
This is amazing.
Now this large drop to my left is what we call a leaching vest from the Civil War. Confederate soldiers come down here, collect bag guano, put it into this and pour boiling hot water over that. That would create a liquid called Mother's Liquor, which would run off into the bowl right there to then be mixed with potash lye. The mixture would form saltpeter crystals around the edge of the bowl, which would be taken up and out to refinery as used in gunpowder. Still from the Civil War up here, you're going to see the date 1863. That is in thick black writing. You'll see a lot of other thick black writing along with that, and that's all authentic. It's the reason we're on the Civil War trail map. You will see white scratches in that big, thick black writing. That is from carbon dating. It's because of this carbon dating we actually know that date is the oldest known date in the cave, and that's how we know it's authentic as well. But before you are able to see that thick black writing, you're going to see a lot of thin white and black writing. This is all just common vandalism. A lot of this took place around the 1920s or the late 60s. Of course, you can ignore all of that, and 1863 is all the way back here.
Why is there writing on it?
I'll give you that in a second. But don't get too distracted by the date. If you're looking at that, you need to pay attention to the low-hanging rock. gonna look at the date and probably hit your head if you're not. There's writing on the wall because the people just naturally like to vandalize things.
Lol.
They don't have to teach you stuff like that.
Guys, ahead. I believe that's a ship. Yo, guys, that's what in the world is that structure?
This is nice.
Yeah, right. Yeah, look at all that writing. A little bit of graffiti though.
This is Minecraft in reality.
A little bit of graffiti though.
Now we're gonna go into the room right behind me here. Of course, just watch your head. Going through the door, there is that big low-hanging rock. It's very, very important you watch your step as well, because on your right-hand side, there is a slight drop-off. That's gonna be like missing a step on a staircase. Everyone that's ever fallen on my tour has fell right here, so very important you watch your step no matter what side you're on. By the way, that's only one person that falls. Now, this is a very simply named room. It's just the hanging rock chamber. I'm sure you can see where it gets its name from the hanging bedrock pendants above us. Now, this room would have been formed by a whirlpool of rushing water. And that water would have came from right where we just came, as well as from right up here. Now, we know the eye of the whirlpool would have been up where the ceiling's flat and then just rushed off down that way and drained into the lake. I did just point up here. That is the way to the big room, second largest room we have access to, as well as the way to the natural entrance of the cave. A natural entrance is about 140 uneven clay steps at a 45-degree angle up and out of here. Oh, you're not going to see either of those. That is exclusive for kind of tour called a wild tour. You can see the orange yellow sign behind me. That is also for the wild tour. On our way back up at our very first rest stop, I will tell you all you guys want to know about those wild tours. But since we can't go up there, I will tell you about that big room. Of course, being such a large room and so close to the natural entrance, has a pretty extensive history. Around 1939, some explorers were down there and they found a 90-foot pit. At the bottom of this 90-foot pit, they found the remains of a Pleistocene jaguar. It's an absolutely massive cat. It would have been about 8 feet long, not counting its tail, and would have weighed about 500 pounds. And we no longer have the remains. They were sent to the Natural History Museum in New York. They are not on display. Very unlikely you'll see those, but you can check out our replica of the head and of its paw print up in our glass showcase. A couple years later, in the early mid-40s, the big room was actually a bar, a pretty big bar called the Cavern Tavern. They held 3 dance floors, 3 moonshine stills, and a live band on the weekends. Because of the pressure down here, you can drink up to 3 times as much alcohol without feeling any of the effects. Now, they did not know that. They thought they were being sold cheap or even fake alcohol. They got pretty mad. Mad enough to rush back up those 140 uneven clay steps, and as we say here, the higher they got, the higher they got. They blacked out about 3/4 the way, came tumbling all the way back down, taking out everyone and everything behind them. Ow. It got them pretty quick and the Cavern Tavern closed shortly thereafter. About 10-ish years later, a little bit over 10 years really, the big room was used as a fallout shelter. Could have held 20,000 people for around 2 weeks. But we didn't need to use the fallout shelter, so we just took all that food out and gave it to different organizations or charities. And we kept just a tiny little bit for ourselves, and what we still have of it is right over here. Now those 2 drums would have had water, the tin cans all just had saltine crackers. Before we leave this room, there's one more thing I want to show you guys. It's one of my favorite parts of the tour. It's going to be total natural darkness. We're going to turn the lights out. If you have anything that's going to light up, shine, glow, ruin the experience for anyone in any way, turn that off or cover it. If you have anything that is covered, you can also wear anything that won't want to, hold on to that bin as well. You're going to get the lights in 3, 2, 1. Now, If you were to spend 2 weeks in here, you would go completely blind. After those 2 weeks, if you went back up the surface, it's more bad news. Your retinas would instantly burn. Because of that, it's not going to spend a long time down here. So if you guys want me to turn the lights back on, just raise your hand.
How can you see?
I'm not seeing any hands, really.
Or just say me.
That phone off for me.
Just say me and then they'll recognize.
Now, there are actually only 2 places in the world where you can see this light level naturally. That is at the very bottom of the ocean and in a cave such as this. Well, I see enough light, so you probably don't need time for your eyes to adjust. I'm getting the lights in.
Oh, finally.
Now we're gonna head back up, same way we came down. Of course, watch your head. That low hanging rock still there. Watch your step as well.
Guys, quickly. Whole group. Good luck. Stuff. I don't think you guys should step there.
I'm now wearing my mask.
Me too. Alright, good.
Time to go boating. So much fun. I hope it's one of those.
Out of that room. Anyone? Oh, yeah, no, fine. Now, are you guys the last ones out of that room? Alright. Now, up here on your left, you can stay a little bit low. Not that low, but still watch your head. Make sure you don't touch any of this once you get covered in more formation.
Okay, fine. Yes, I took it. This thing? Low-hanging thing?
I'm almost as tall as you.
Really low-hanging thing?
You don't need to do that. I'm shorty.
Low-hanging thing?
Oh, that's the way we came. This is the thing that they used to make that stuff.
You mean liquor?
Yeah. But not that type of thing.
Some your spot.
Imagine there was no safety bars and all the dangerous places that we should not go. They keep planks and then they tie caution and we didn't even need a guidesman. And imagine we could go back there. That would be amazing, right? Remember when we went to Rock City and we went to Fairyland? We saw the Disney Castle.
Yeah.
It was actually pretty cool. You know the Disney Castle? Like every time you open a movie in Disney Plus, you see that castle?
Yeah.
That's the Disney Castle.
No, it's actually Cinderella's castle.
Yeah,
They're using Cinderella's castle as
but still, all the princesses go there.
really small, thin stalagmites. Water dripping.
Now, the room we just walked through is called the Kill Room. It's the third largest room we have access to. It's approximately 600 feet long, 150 feet wide, be about 35 feet high. It's called the Kill Room because of the red Kill clay we've been walking on. That is K-E-E-L, not K-I-L-L. Same clay at the bottom of the lake as well. The settlers came down here, mixed this red Kill clay with buttermilk paint. That made a red buttermilk paint, which they used on a lot of old buildings. Very unlikely you're ever going to see one though. They've all fallen down at this point. But you can think about something very, very similar as a old red barn on the side of the road. It's going to get you pretty much the same color. You also might have noticed the red hole to your left. That is the devil's hole. It said that if you've been bad the following week and you look down there, you're going to see the face of the devil himself. But if you've been good, nothing to worry about. You're not going to see anything at all. Of course, I'll give you guys a chance to check it out here in a second, but make sure you don't lean to stand on that handrail. Don't go under it. Don't go over it. If you go in, no one's here is going to be able to get you out. The Devil's Hole is about 13 feet deep, tapers down to the size of a softball. Here's a natural drainage area from where the cave was originally formed. Once you guys have taken a look at that, you can move over and fill in the right-hand side railing.
Alright, guys. That's all for today. Part 2 coming up. Bye.